Hi everyone and welcome to this video. I'm doing this video because I want to share with you how I came back to driving after having a car accident and also kind of healing myself and my trauma after the accident. So I'm doing this video just to share what I did and where I am today. So hopefully it could help anyone who has had any car incident or get afraid of driving. Just to listen to what I've been doing. I think we all have different journeys, of course, but I just want to share my journey with you. I was actually looking on YouTube when that had happened and I didn't find much videos about it, so I wanted to do one that hopefully could be of help. So I had a car accident, I think it was 5 weeks ago now. It was a winter day here in Sweden. I was driving home from my choir practice and in the left lane came a snow plug who kind of shuffled away the snow from the highways, and it actually had a kind of shuffle over my car, so I got a lot of heavy wet snow over my car, so I didn't see anything, and my car kind of went out of the way or turned away out from the highway. And I also noticed after the accident, actually those who came and rescued me after the accident saw that I actually had hitting me on my left side of my car and also punctured my front left wheel. So it was a really scary moment. I didn't see anything, I lost sight, and it just happened very quickly. And I was in very shock after the accident. I had, of course, the coming taking my car after 45 minutes and helping me, and also having my partner coming and picking me up then, so he drove me home. But sitting there in the car after this had happened, it was, as I said, a very shocking moment because I never experienced anything like that. Just losing all control over my vehicle, my car, the sight, and it just happened so quickly. So after this accident, I was in very heavy shock for somehow, I think it lasted almost 2 weeks, on and off. But what I recognized or felt that I was so shaky, of course, the first hours or the first day after it had happened. But also then when I had a weekend in between, and then I was supposed to start to work on the Monday. It happened on a Friday, and I felt I couldn't really focus. My brain was really so stressed and my heart was beating, so I was in a constant stress mode. I tried to work, I worked very slowly, I couldn't really focus. It was something with the focus that wasn't there. It was like the shock, or the brain, the energy was inside of me in a sense. I cannot explain really, but those of you who has been in any traumatic event probably could recognize it. So I tried to work, but the second week I had to be on sick leave for half time because I couldn't work full time. I wasn't just there. I think the body and mind and emotions was so occupied with kind of trying to heal or take care of the trauma. So it was really hard to focus. So I had to be very honest with my boss, of course, and say that what has happened and that it was hard to work and that I had to be on sick leave. So. And at the same time, I was also looking for someone to speak to, because I heard that when you have a trauma or a car accident, you should really try to find someone professional to speak to as sooner you get into the car again, and as sooner you kind of take care of this and speak about it, the sooner you will also be back on the road again. So what I noticed the first weeks, 2 weeks maybe, was really to try to get my body and mind down, to try to relax. So I had a hard time watch TV, or I could speak to people, friends calling, and I could tell the story. I cried a lot when I was telling it in the beginning, but then it got easier and easier to tell it and to not to cry and feel the emotions of it. But what I found was really that I needed to relax my body and my mind. So I was very much staying in my sofa, my couch, listening to very calm music. So that was all eating, of course, eating a lot, because I was very hungry for some reason. I don't know. I just had a big need for eating and nutrition, I think. But I took time to really relax a lot. I also use something called ashwagandha. It's a herb. It's like an Ayurvedic herb. They sell it on health food stores. So it's nothing dangerous, but it helps to calm the nervous system a bit also. So I think I took it for 2 weeks also just to try to calm down, because if I couldn't calm down, I couldn't really do anything else. It was hard to driving or working or just seeing people or anything. So this was my first step. And I also felt I needed to be very safe and have a safe environment. So I was just at home. I didn't go out very much. I just needed safety, I felt. Because once again, the body and the mind and surviving a heavy accident, it was, even if I wasn't injured like physically, I had a really, really luck there. But on the emotional and mental side, I was really, it was difficult. So feel to be in a safe environment, and I didn't drive to work or elsewhere to my choir practice, or I just wanted to stay at home. I didn't want to drive, of course. And I didn't have a car because my car got really damaged, so I didn't get it back. I had to get a new car as well. But also I went out for walks in the forest, so it's like being in a stress mode. So you just had to calm down. I just had to calm down myself and do anything to nurture myself, food, but also safety, being in the forest, relaxing, talking to friends, and so forth. Then 2 days after the accident, I just felt that I was still shaky, but I felt I needed to go back to the car, not in my car because it wasn't there anymore. But so I asked my partner if he could be with me and we could drive together. So I started to drive actually to the place of the accident, because I also know that you have to confront that quite quickly or whenever you're ready for it. So we drove a bit, but I was really tensed in the first time of the driving. I was really looking, my senses was all over the place, and I was afraid, of people passing me on the left because of the accident. I think that someone passed me and that happened. So I constantly looked behind me, and also felt that everybody was driving so fast. But I tried to focus, and I managed to do that. So I was really happy with myself. It was very scary, but I went back into the car, and they say you should do it quite quickly if you can, if you weren't injured physically, of course. Then a few days after that, I needed to go back into the car again, because I needed to go and pick my things up from my damaged car, because they're gonna kind of destroy it. I don't know the word in English, but I'm not gonna get it back. So it was a really tough time to drive there and see my damaged car, and also to pick up my stuff from the car. So it was very emotional, just because you are seeing the damage and you felt what could have happened. It didn't happen, so I needed to tell myself all went well, but somehow the fear and it kind of reminded me of the situation of the accident, just to see my car again and pick it up, all my things. So but I did that, and then so I started slowly to drive again, but usually with the company of my partner, but also trying to drive a bit myself, short ways, like to the gym and back, or also I had to go to the accident place and back myself after a few days also, just to feel that I wasn't so afraid. I also had, after 1.5 or 2 weeks, I got support from my insurance company. I got a therapist that I could speak to. So, and he helped me really. We're still doing that. Some kind of, you call it, I think, exposure therapy, where you should make a list of like 10, 12 things that, what is the least scary thing with a car or driving, and what is the most scary thing. So for me, example, the least scary thing was to go to my supermarket just 2 minutes away with my car from my home. So that I actually started to do quite early. And then you had to kind of expose yourself to gradually more and more. So one thing, I think in the middle was to go back and forth to my choir practice in the evening when it's dark. I was very afraid. I was before the accident actually afraid of driving on the highway in the dark. And even worse when it's raining, heavily raining. Or the worst thing on my list was really to drive in heavy snow on a highway again, because that is where the accident happened. So, and I'm still not there. I have been driving in snow on small ways because I just felt I needed, while we still had snow in Sweden. Now it's mid-February, so the snow will not be so much anymore, so I needed to confront that also. But still driving on a highway when it's snowing, I'm not sure. I don't know when I will do that, but maybe one day, but I will not force myself. I'm happy enough if I can go and, drive to my choir practice, my work, of course, see friends, or into the town. I live like 15-20 minutes outside of town, so I always need to go on a highway to go back and forth. So I think the exposure to therapy has helped me also, because every week when we meet, I want to have something new to tell my therapist for some reason, but also that's mostly for myself, that otherwise it's no use if I don't try to take steps. And I have 10 meetings with him, so now I'm on the 5th meeting, so I have to continue. But now it's more about practicing driving in darkness with heavy rain and things that I'm afraid of. So I still feel nervous. I was driving home from my choir practice this Thursday, and I was coming to a dark party or place of the road where I usually feel don't like. So I felt my fear was increasing. I become very fearful. But my therapist also said that just notice the fear. The fear will be there. We are human beings. This is evolutionary. This is our system works like that we kind of, if we have been in a situation, we fear it, and the fear is there to help us. But we have to decide whether we want the fear to control us or not. And I don't want my fear to control me. I want it to help me. But when it's a situation where it's actually not very dangerous, but it's just more in my mind, I need to confront that. And I was driving through that dark part, and I was feeling heavy, almost panicking. But I was breathing and talking to myself, this is okay, this is just a fear, this is just a feeling. So I drew all the way back home, and I was really, really happy. And this is not going to end. I think this is going to come in many situations. So I just have to learn to cope with my fear and decide whether I want the fear to, control me. In some situation, fear is, if it's a very dangerous situation, of course, the fear is good, and you have to go with the fear or listen to the fear. But every day driving, I've been driving since I was 18. I'm 49 now, so I haven't had any accident myself, and this was not my fault either. So I have to remind myself that I am a good driver and I'm careful, and it wasn't my fault. So this I'm doing also. Then I want to add some things. I have had tremendous wonderful friends and family and partner supporting me, encouraging me also to not to have the fear overtake it, but also understanding when I had to cancel things and didn't want to do that after the accident, of course, and just sending flowers and being very kind. So I think the support around me has been very healing as well. How many people who love and care for me. And we all have that, but sometimes we don't see that. But that has been very healing as well, seeing all the love. I also since I'm in a church, and I know a lot of people in the church, and they told me they have been praying for me, and I'm so grateful for that as well, because I'm sure that prayer helps me to heal quicker. I believe that. I mean, we have different beliefs, but I believe that, and just knowing that someone prays for you and care for you in that way, it just makes me happy. I learned that there was a day when I was feeling really down, just a week after the accident, and I went out for a walk over lunch, and I felt suddenly that I started to feel better just by the walk, and I started to feel a little bit by myself again, just for a little while. But then I learned that they have been praying for me in a service in church at that time. So something really happened. So I really believe in that. Of course, you have to do the work yourself, because even if they pray or people care for me, I have to go back to my car and I have to do the work myself. Like they say, the only way out is through. You have to go through it, but you have to take it step by step. Because also my therapist said that if you do it too quickly, you force yourself to things that you are not ready for. It's going to worsen your fear, worsen your fear. So you have to feel ready. And usually when I go out driving, I feel like, okay, now it's time. I feel good. I have energy, and now I'm ready. Then I can see it as a little bit of adventure to challenge myself. I don't do that every day, because in the beginning of my driving, I just had so much anxiety. I almost had panic attacks 4 hours before I know I was going to drive. So it was really, really hard, but it's just something happening in the body. And then when I was sitting in the car, I think it was worse before. I had my mind and then my, the panic I was feeling, the anxiety. But when I was in the car, actually in the reality, it wasn't that dangerous. It's very much in your mind, also in my mind, the worry. So it's a lot. And I learned also a lot that I have to work with my worry and fear, because fear are not coming just in this situation. I think as human beings, we have fear, like maybe on work, we're going to speak in front of a lot of people. We kind of feel fear and anxiety, but we need to, or other situation where I can feel fear. So I start to be notice also a lot of my fear that is coming, that it's just a fear. It's, as my therapist say as well, that usually in this day-to-day life we are living in, it's not, we feel a lot of fear because our brain is like that, and bodies, but there is not many situations that is actually so fearful, but our mind think it's dangerous because we make a lot up also in our mind, if you see what I mean. So I'm learning a lot about my fear and working myself back, but it has been kind of tough week, because I felt I needed to start it from scratch again with my driving and overcome fears that I had already fear of driving in darkness or rain or snow. So they didn't make it better, of course, but now I need to kind of start over again, and I'm coming closer and closer to actually feeling better. So today, it's Sunday, I was driving to the church to sing in the choir in the service, and I actually wasn't much traffic. I actually felt happy when I was driving today. I felt like, wow, this is nice again. So it wasn't much traffic, and it was a Sunday, so I felt very safe. And I also had to buy I bought a bigger and safer car, so I feel very safe in my new car as well. So that of course helps me a lot. But yes, so if there's anyone out there having had an accident, not getting injuries, of course, that makes it probably much, of course, worse. But the fear that we can get from a car accident, or not having control, or someone else causing it to us, or we causing it ourselves, I just want to give hope that if I could come through that, you can do it, because I have a lot of fear and worry inside of me, even before, and I was so scared of driving again. But now I'm out on the roads, working on it. It will probably take some time, but I trust that, and not worrying so much that anything will happen anymore. So coming back to feeling relaxed in my car, a little bit of what do you call it, a mood where you don't have to look everywhere all the time. You can relax, and you can feel that your autopilot somehow is driving, or you're being relaxed, if you see what I mean. So I wish you all the best if you have had any issues with driving or accident, and please feel free to comment or share anything of your story in the comment field, or like it if you like this, or even subscribe to my channel if you like. Usually I don't share, this is hopefully once in a lifetime, a car accident, but I'm trying to share other things, like about feeling good and health and well-being in my videos. So thank you so much for listening, and I wish you all the best. Take care. Bye bye.